guys, how's it going today? Chelsea here, and I'm excited to bring you a new video. This one is going to be the wrap up for the month of May. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I kind of dropped the ball on this one. I didn't get to read as much as I wanted to, of course. I told you in the last TBR that I picked a lot of books, and I probably would not be able to read all of them. And what do you know, I was right. But I wanted to show you all the books that I did managed to read in the month of May. This includes manga, comics, and regular books. I don't really feel that bad about not reading that much. I do for you guys, but not so much like my mental status, because I like to play video games and I like to make art, and I do have a full-time job and do karate on the side, so I have a lot going on, so I don't really feel bad for not reading 30,000 books. I do admire booktubers who are able to read like 30 books in a month, or like 7 or 10 or whatever. But that's just not realistic for me, and I'm okay with that. So the first book that I read was volume 6 of the graphic novel manga Inuyasha. As you know, I've been reading through this series. This contains 3 volumes. Volume 16, volume 17, and volume 18 are within this large VizBig edition. For some reason, if you look up on Amazon or Goodreads, the cover for this, it does not show this version. I don't know why they changed it. I don't know if that was like a censoring kind of thing or what, but the original one has him with like blood on his hands as a demon, whatever. And this one, he's just smiling, so I'm not sure why they're different, but this is legit volume 6. I can't wait to read the next one. The art is, I feel like it's getting better and better. As with the anime, I noticed that it got better and better the further it went. And I can definitely tell that she loves mixing digital and traditional media. There's some really beautiful areas that look like they've been watercolored, then some areas that look more straightforward type of art. I'm trying to find you an example. Like this page right here, you can see she looks a little more possibly watercolory, or just a different type of technique in her artwork. And you know, the regular style, like over here, you see it's more line drawn and possibly digitally done. I think all of this is traditional. I could be mistaken. I'm not super knowledgeable in that field. But I do appreciate that there are a little bit different styles within the pages of this. I love experimenting and I love playing with different styles within one thing. Like, I've just always been a very mishmash, try new things kind of person. So I feel like I really connect with her art, and her story is gorgeous. I'm really excited for her new series that's coming out sometime in the near future. I can't wait to check it out. But yeah, volume 6. I have lightly started on volume 7, so I cannot wait. I gave this one 5 stars per usual, so it was fantastic and I highly recommend. By the way, all of the books that I have read, I will list in the description. They're Amazon links. I'm not sponsored in any way by any of these companies or books or authors or anything. I just want you guys to be able to find them and buy them if you're interested in reading them as well. The next one that I read is Severed. It is a comic book standalone by Scott Snyder and Scott Tuft and Attila Futaki. I can't say that last name or that first name. When I can't pronounce names, I know that some people give people flack for that. The reason that I cannot pronounce them is if I cannot find a phonetic spelling of their name, I just have to guess. And I guess I could just research hours of video footage of YouTubers talking about them, but then I'm just going off of what someone else said and I'm guessing anyways. Like, I'm guessing that they're correct. So if I ever just don't know, forgive me. Like, I don't do it to insult anybody, and I feel like it's human nature to mispronounce someone's name sometimes. And if you know the correct pronunciation, feel free to leave it in the comments, but I'm not gonna get butthurt because I accidentally pronounced someone's name wrong. So Severed, it is I think 5 or 6 issue when it first released, you know, by issue, but this is all of it in one. As you can tell, the cover makes it look very spooky and horror. Like, I love the art on the front of this. It's very fun, and I love the colors. The scary, brooding, bright, but kind of muted colors at the same time. It's very interesting. I like the font choice. In the back, it just has like these little snippets from other authors, and then this little screenshot here. But when I flipped through it, I guess my original mistake was I did not flip through the book when I went to an actual comic book store, because I got this off Amazon. I had been researching for months on comics I wanted to read, and then someone at a comic book store recommended this one. I didn't flip through it when they recommended it the first time, and I kind of wish I had, because I don't really care for the art in this. I like the scary stuff. I think that it's very nice. There were some panels that I legitimately could not see because it's so dark. I'm trying to find an example for you. I can barely tell what's happening in this panel. Like, it's just so dark. Like, I'm all about some atmospheric artwork and using color to your advantage to just show the mood or whatever you're trying to portray. But I just didn't care for how dark it was at those points. I mean, I have 20/20 vision. I've been tested, but I just couldn't tell what was happening half the time. And I had to like really squint my eyes just to see what they were trying to show me in this freaking picture. I wouldn't recommend if you're really into the visual aspect of comics. The story, it was okay, but like I said, I just didn't dig that either. Like, it didn't grab me. It's a story about a boy who is living with his family, and it's in a different time period where you would send your kids off to work or to do an internship with some random person that you trusted, and they would learn a skill or a trade, and then they would come home, or they would just live on their own and do that trade for the rest of their life. It was just one of those times. It's in the South, if I'm not mistaken. I know that his dad like lives in Mississippi or something, but the kid doesn't know who his dad is. He gets a letter from his dad, and he's like, hey, I'm a famous violinist or fiddle player, and I need you to come meet me if you want to meet me for the first time. So he like believes him, and he gets on a train and becomes like homeless or whatever. Like, he leaves his internship and he goes and does this. He meets this girl. I don't want to spoil too much, but things happen. There's a monster somewhere. People die, people live. It's got some fun scenes in it. I'm not gonna just tell you it's garbage or anything. Like, Scott Snyder, I love his stuff, but for some reason this just did not click for me. I'll probably trade this in for a different comic when I go to the store that we usually trade stuff in that's in Chattanooga. So it'll be a while before I actually unhaul this, but I will make a video about that if you're interested. But I just didn't dig this. Someone else probably would love it. I gave it a 2 out of 5, and I know that seems pretty harsh, but I'm honest. Like, I'm being honest with you. I wouldn't give this a 3. I wouldn't give it a 5. A 1 might be a little too much just because I really do appreciate the horror monster scenes in this, but I just didn't dig it. The story was a little boring to me, and the art was a little lackluster to me. So the next book that I read is an actual physical book. It's the only like real book that I read this month because it is so big. I have never read a book this thick, and I know you're thinking, oh, wang, you know, but for me, it's a big deal. Like, it's, let me see how many pages. 515 pages. I've had this for a while. I got it at a book sale at our library for like $2, so I got it for a good deal. It is Karen Slaughter's The Good Daughter, and it is blurbed by Gillian Flynn, I think it's Gillian. I'd follow her anywhere by Gillian Flynn. I don't know what they meant by that, but I'm assuming they mean the author. I don't know. But I expected so much from this book, you guys. Like, I was watching so many YouTubers talk about this, and I guess I just let the hype get to my head, and I thought, oh man, this is gonna be messed up. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be dark and scary and spooky and like, you know, like it's gonna leave me thinking for a week or two. No, I mean, I didn't hate it. I didn't hate this book. It felt longer than it should have been to me. There were some scenes that were just put in there and they were lies. Like, they weren't truthful, so I felt like, why were they even in there to begin with? I don't want to spoil too much of it for you, so I'm going to be pretty vague with this, but I hope you get what I'm trying to say. I don't like the lying for no reason about a big part of the plot. Part of me knew that it was a lie. I couldn't tell till I got to that part. I feel like half the book could have been cut out and it would have still been a good book. I liked the characters. They weren't one-dimensional, so I think the character building and the writing was great. I enjoyed the writing style. I feel like I don't think I like stories that follow lawyers, and this story follows the lawyers in the case that's in this. Like, there's a crime that happens somewhere involving a kid. I don't really care about the lawyer side of crime. And it's not that I hate lawyers or I think they're crappy people. They do some good work. They can be good people, but I just don't care about that. I more dig either the actual horror of the story, like the physical story that's happening, or I dig the detective if it's a decent detective, not just like a jerk. So I didn't really dig this as far as the perspective of the lawyers. So that was the first strike for me, but I've never read anything like that. So this was like my first try on that. I've never seen that perspective done in a book before. I didn't like that, and the twists, there were a few twists in this. They were all predictable. Like, I predicted everything. I would even verbally say them out loud to my husband as I was reading this, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, this is, if I'm right about this is gonna be really lame. And it was. Like, I was so disappointed that I could predict what was gonna happen or what was happening, or even like the big twist. I knew what was gonna happen, and it wasn't hidden very well, in my opinion. I mean, it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't hidden very well. And the way that I heard other booktubers talking about it, it sounded like this was gonna be like a whoa, or like a really messed up story. I was expecting to be mentally frazzled by this, and it was kind of just like a bad episode of Criminal Minds to me, but from a lawyer's perspective instead of the detectives or the investigators. Like, I don't know, man. Like, I gave it a 3. And I feel like that was probably the best rating that I could give it. Anything above a 3 would be ridiculous, and anything below might be a little harsh. I think 3 is perfect for this book, in my opinion. I might be in the unpopular opinion about it. I don't know. I haven't like looked at the majority of ratings, but it just didn't hit the spot for me, and I might give this to someone who would enjoy it more. I don't know yet if I'm gonna unhaul it. It's just not something that I think I would want to reread again. I think I'm done with this, but I hope that someone else would enjoy it more, maybe. Just not for me, you know? And the last thing that I read for this month was Oddity Woods, issue 1. Now, what is this, Chelsea? Like, why are you showing us this random thing? This is an indie comic. I went to MomoCon a week ago, and we spent Thursday through Sunday at MomoCon. It is a anime gaming convention. They even have martial arts and stuff. And I've been selling at conventions in the Artist Alley for years, and I've never actually been to one where I just went as a con goer. So we did it for our anniversary, and we went with a couple friends. It was really fun, and they were so nice to invite us. I was specifically looking for indie comics. Like, I love supporting small artists because I've been there. I am one, and I don't have any skill with doing comics myself, and I just really appreciate the art form, and I wanted to find someone who was selling their own comics. And there were so many artists selling their comics, and I felt bad that I couldn't buy all of them. I looked around for a couple days. I had plenty of time. I made sure everyone had plenty of them so that I wouldn't miss out. The artist that I chose was KD. You can find her on Twitter, Instagram, and Tumblr. Cygulls, Cygulls. You can see right here. I'll be sure to link that in the description if you can't see it. I fully support checking this out. It is very cute. You can see the artwork. My husband said it reminds him of Gravity Falls meets something else. I can't remember what he said, but it is very pretty. And I got the first 2 issues, which I haven't read the second one yet. And then I got 2 free stickers for buying them. And I think I paid $25 for both, which is a good deal for an indie comic, because if you don't know anything about printing comics, if you don't print thousands of them like regular DC Marvel people do, it costs a ton to get a book printed that's the quality of a comic book. And it sure is. It's gorgeous. It is, oh my gosh, it's so pretty. Not only is the cover gorgeous, but it's got some gorgeous coloring done here, and the artwork is flawless. Like, I spent minutes and minutes just staring at the art in these pages, and some of it has no dialogue, and it starts off as like a almost TV show-esque criminal case. And I just cannot get over how beautiful the art in this is, and I'm already really interested in continuing the series. Like, I've got the second book. It's about a detective girl whose father has gone on a case and he has not returned, and so she's like wondering where he went. It's been a long time, and he gets a letter, and she doesn't know who sent it or anything, so she's trying to figure out, like, what does it mean? Does it have anything to do with her father's disappearance? She goes on this journey to find this like phantom train, and it's going to take her to a world where she thinks that she'll find her father. So I'm very, very interested to see what kind of ghouls and creatures they come across. But right now, it's sort of the prologue of solving like a mini crime. You see some scenes that don't quite make sense yet because it'll lead to, you know, later bringing up in the future. And then there's the back of it. It doesn't have like an ISBN or anything, so you probably can't find it that way. I hope they sell it online, I'm not sure, but you probably could get a copy of it if you messaged the author, because they had a few of them stacked up there. And I highly, highly recommend checking out indie comics. The only issue with reading indie comics, sometimes the author discontinues the series, but that's with any comic series. But you're more likely gonna find that issue with indie comics than you would a company that has more money to just throw at the artists and stuff. So it's always good to talk with the author to see if they're still continuing the series or if they've stopped. Because there's plenty of series that I want to read, but the author has completely stopped writing them, so I don't want to get attached to the series. So, you know, it's kind of, you gotta weigh those options when you're buying them, but I recommend it highly. It's a little bit more expensive sometimes, but it's worth it. You're supporting a small artist, helping them get their name out there, and you get a really fun, unique series with some really cool art. That's the last thing I read for the month. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I have a TBR to film as well today, so you're gonna see me again. And I hope to see you guys in the next video. Have a fantastic day. Let me know if you've read any of these books in the comments below. Bye guys!